Welcome back to the Orange Ball. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026.
And it is quiet out there.
So quiet. If you walked into an NBA arena yesterday, all you heard was the squeak of sneakers from the cleaning crews. No games played.
That's right.
The All-Star break is officially in the rearview mirror. The confetti has been swept up, and the league is taking this one final collective deep breath.
Right, before the absolute sprint to the finish line.
It's the silence before the chaos, really. And honestly, this quiet period can be a little dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah, I'd call it clarifying. This is the only time of the year where the noise actually stops.
That's true.
The nightly highlights, the Twitter explosions over one dunk, the recency bias, it all just, it pauses for 48 hours.
And when the games stop, the numbers stop moving.
Exactly, the standings freeze. And for the first time since October, you can actually look at the architecture of the league without it changing while you're staring at it.
And that is exactly why we are here today. We are doing a mid-season reality check. But we aren't just reading the standings. I mean, anyone with an internet connection can see who has the most wins. We're asking a much more uncomfortable question today.
Contender or pretender?
Contender or pretender? Because right now, on February 18th, 2026, the standings are telling one story, but the advanced metrics, specifically net rating and some of these performance trends, they're screaming a completely different story.
There is a massive disconnect this season. I've been covering this league for a long time, and I don't know if I've ever seen a gap this wide between the record and the reality.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You have teams winning games they have absolutely no business winning, and you have dominant teams flying under the radar because maybe they're not winning the close ones. Today, I want to separate the signal from the noise. I want to look at the quality of the wins, the sustainability of these play styles, and, the hidden red flags that the casual fan might miss because they're just watching the win column.
Okay, so here's the roadmap for this deep dive. We're going to break this down into 3 distinct segments.
Let's do it.
First, we are heading to the Eastern Conference, where we have to address the absolute shock at the top of the standings. I'm talking about Detroit, and the confusing, conflicting metrics coming out of Boston.
Big time.
Then, we're going west. We're going to look at a team putting up historic numbers in Oklahoma City versus a young squad in San Antonio that seems to have arrived way, way ahead of schedule.
And that's where things get really interesting.
And finally, we're going to do a reality check. We'll find a dark horse that's surging and a paper tiger that might just be the luckiest team in basketball history.
I am ready to hurt some feelings today. The data does not care about your favorite player's narrative. Let's get into it.
Let's start in the East. And we have to start with the team sitting alone at the top, the Detroit Pistons.
Unbelievable.
I mean, if I had told you 2 years ago, heck, if I had told you last year that on February 18, 2026, the Pistons would be 40-13.
I would have laughed you out of the studio.
Right. Sitting 5.5 games clear the Boston Celtics for the #1 seed, you would have asked me to leave the room.
I'd have asked for whatever you were drinking.
Yeah.
But look, we have to stop treating this like a fluke.
Okay.
We are 53 games into the season. This is not a hot start in November anymore. This is February. The sample size is massive. The Pistons are 40-13.
It's a .755 win percentage.
They're pacing for 60 wins,
Yeah.
and comfortably.
The record is undeniably great, but we promised the listeners we would go deeper. So when you look under the hood of this Pistons machine, what are you seeing? Because my gut still says Detroit, and my brain remembers a decade of lottery balls. Convince me this is real.
Okay. Let's throw the record up for just a second. Let's look at net rating.
Right.
For the listeners who might not, live in the spreadsheets like I do, net rating is simply the difference between points scored and points allowed per 100 possessions.
It adjusts for pace.
Exactly. It tells you, on a per-play basis, how much better you are than your opponent. The Detroit Pistons have a net rating of plus 8.0.
So contextualize that for me. Plus 8 sounds good, but is it champion good?
Plus 8 is elite. It is the statistical profile of a team that makes the NBA Finals. Historically, the contender club usually starts at around plus 6.
Wow, okay.
So if you're plus 8, you are blowing teams out. You aren't winning by 1 point at the buzzer. You're winning by 15. You are resting your starters in the fourth quarter.
And that plus 8, that's second best in the entire NBA.
The entire league.
Yeah.
And it's balanced. They have the 5th best defensive rating in the league over the last 2 weeks, sitting at 110.5.
I want to pause on that defensive number because that feels like the pivot point for me.
It's huge.
A 110.5 defensive rating in the modern NBA where teams are regularly hanging 130 on each other. That's really impressive. But I look at the roster and I see Cade Cunningham. He's
Right.
having a masterful season on offense, 9.6 assists a game, second in the league. He's the engine. But is this defense sustainable? Can they really lock down a team like Boston or Milwaukee in a 7-game series?
I think you're underestimating their versatility. The data shows they aren't just beating up on the bottom feeders.
Right.
Their record against teams over .500 is, well, wait, let me double check that source. Yes. The source lists their overall record. Right next to their record feeds teams over .500 as 40-13.
So they're the same.
It implies a level of consistency that is almost robotic. They don't play down to their competition, and they don't get scared by the big dogs.
Okay, but here's where I have to play the skeptic. You're talking about regular season dominance. We see this all the time, right? A team finds a system that works, they run teams off the floor on a Tuesday night in February, and they rack up wins.
Sure.
But the playoffs are about matchups. They're about specific, targeted weaknesses. Who's the guy for Detroit? It's Cade. If I'm the Boston Celtics and I have Jrue Holiday and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I'm going to spend 7 games just making Cade Cunningham's life miserable. If you cut off the head of the snake, does Detroit have the experience to figure it out?
And that is the narrative argument. It's a fair question,
Yeah.
but let's look at the data answer. When you win by an average of 8 points per 100 possessions, you have a margin for error. You don't need to be perfect in the clutch because you're already up by 12 with 3 minutes to go.
Good point.
You mentioned experience. Sure, they're young. But young teams that defend at a top 5 level usually translate that to the playoffs better than young teams that just rely on scoring.
Defense travels. A 110.5 defensive rating travels to Boston. It travels to Milwaukee.
But does it travel to the Eastern Conference Finals? That's my hang-up. I see a regular season juggernaut. I see a team that is energized, hungry, and catching the league by surprise. But are they a playoff question mark?
I don't think so.
Absolutely. I need to see them take a punch. They haven't been punched yet. They've been the hammer all season. What happens when they're the nail?
I think they are the hammer, period. But let's talk about the team that is supposedly the contender that Detroit is beating, Boston Celtics.
The Celtics, the metrics darlings. They're currently sitting at 35-19.
A .648 win percentage, which in any normal year, that's a 1 seed or a strong 2 seed. But because Detroit is on this heater, Boston is 5.5 games back.
And this is where the contender or pretender conversation gets nuanced. Because if you just look at the standings, you see a 5.5 game gap. That is a massive canyon in the NBA.
It is.
But if you look at net rating, Boston is plus 7.2. Detroit is plus 8.0.
So very close.
The difference between them statistically is negligible. It's less than a point per 100 possessions.
So what does that tell you? If they're statistically performing at basically the same level, why is Boston 5.5 games worse in the win column?
It tells me Boston has been unlucky or perhaps a bit lazy in high leverage moments. We know Dawson's profile. They launch threes. They take a massive volume of three-pointers. 36.3% of their shots are from deep, often tough ones.
High variance.
Exactly. It creates high variance. When they hit, they win by 30. That boosts their net rating. When they miss, they might lose a close game to a mediocre team. That hurts their record, but it doesn't tank their net rating as much as a blowout loss would.
I watch them and I sense boredom. Is that a fair thing to say?
Could be.
They've been to the mountaintop. They know they're good. They are 35-19, and it feels like they're sleepwalking. But then I look at the recent data you brought to the table.
And what do you see?
Over the last 2 weeks, they are tied for first in defensive rating at 108.6.
Exactly. That is the opposite of boredom. That is a sleeping giant waking up.
Yeah.
You don't accidentally post a 108.6 defensive rating. That requires effort, communication, and rotation speed. If they're the number 2 offense in the league, which they are, with a 120.7 offensive rating, and they're suddenly playing number 1 level defense.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
I think the 5.5 game gap is fake.
I think it's noise. I think if you played a 7-game series starting tomorrow, the metrics say it is a coin flip. The standings say Detroit is the favorite, but the net rating says these teams are peers.
And they're 7-3 in their last 10.
They're ramping up.
But here's my worry with the whole flip the switch mentality. You develop habits in the regular season. If Boston has spent the first 50 games coasting on talent and relying on the 3-ball to bail them out, can they suddenly execute a half-court offense in the clutch when the threes aren't falling?
It's the classic Boston question.
We've seen this movie with them before. They settle, they fall in love with the jump shot. Detroit attacks the rim. Detroit gets to the line. I trust Detroit's hunger more than I trust Boston's switch.
And I trust the math. And the math says Boston is creating better shots and defending at a championship level right now. Plus 7.2 net rating is a contender. No question.
Okay.
You don't get to plus 7.2 by accident. You can fake a good record by winning close games, and we will talk about that later, but you cannot fake a plus 7.2 net rating. You have to dominate opponents to get that number.
So we have two legitimate contenders in the East. But one is built on new energy and defense, and one is built on historical dominance and high-variance offense.
It is a fascinating collision course. It's the unstoppable force versus the immovable object.
It really is.
But if you think those numbers are impressive, we need to go west. Because the numbers coming out of the Western Conference aren't just good, they are historic.
Let's pivot to the West. And we have to start with the team that is making a mockery of the rest of the league, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
The monolith, that's what I call them.
42-14, best record in the West. But the record, like you said, doesn't even do it justice. Their net rating is plus 11.6.
Plus 11.6 is absurd. We need to just pause and appreciate that number.
It's staggering.
We just spent 10 minutes praising Detroit for a plus 8.0. The gap between OKC at plus 11.6 and Detroit at plus 8.0 is almost 4 points per 100 possessions.
Which is?
That is the difference between a good playoff team and a lottery team. OKC is lapping the field. This is 1996 Bulls territory. This is 2017 Warriors territory.
And it's happening on both ends of the floor.
It is total dominance. They had the #1 defensive rating in the league at 107.8.
Which is just crazy in this era.
In 2026, holding teams to 107.8 points per 100 possessions is like holding them to 80 points back in the 90s. It's suffocating. And then on offense, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
31.8 points per game.
Yeah, 31.8 a night. He's top 3 in scoring. He's top 3 in FanDuel points per minute. He is the most inevitable player in basketball. When he gets to a spot in the mid-range, it is over.
I agree with all of that. The stats are undeniable. They're the best team in basketball on paper, but I have to be the skepticism police today.
Go for it.
Is there any hole in the armor? Because I was reading through some Reddit threads from last year, 2025, and fans were saying the exact same thing. OKC looks like the best team. They are statistically dominant, and yet the playoffs were a little rickety.
They won the championship.
They won, yes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the coronation that the stats predicted, you know. It was a grind. They looked vulnerable. And repeating is the hardest thing to do in sports. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. When you are plus 11.6, every single team in the league is building their roster specifically to beat you.
That is true.
Yeah.
But look at how they're winning. They aren't relying on a gimmick. They have length, they have shooting, they have elite rim protection, and they have a closer. Last year's rickety run gave them the one thing they lacked. Scars.
That's a good point.
They know how to win ugly now. You combine knowing how to win ugly with a plus 11.6 net rating.
Okay.
That is just unfair.
So you're putting them in a tier of their own then?
Undisputed contender. I don't see anyone in the same stratosphere as them statistically. Not even close.
Well, there is one team that is trying to enter that stratosphere, and it's the team that feels like the future arriving ahead of schedule.
Ah, yes.
The San Antonio Spurs.
This is the most exciting team in the league, bar none.
The Spurs are 38-16. That's a .704 win percentage. They're second in the West. Their net rating is plus 6.0, which is fifth best in the NBA.
And they are hot. 8-2 in their last 10 games.
They have arrived. We all knew it was coming. We knew Victor Wembanyama was going to change the league, but I don't think we thought the team would be this good, this fast.
Nobody did.
Let's talk about that Wemby factor. He is leading the league in blocks with 2.7 per game. But stats don't capture what he does, right? He warps the geometry of the court.
He does.
Players drive into the paint, see him, and just turn around and leave.
It's a gravity field.
Yeah.
His defensive gravity is just as powerful as Steph Curry's offensive gravity. And because of that, the Spurs have the 4th best defensive rating over the last 2 weeks at 110.4. They're shutting people down.
But the offense.
But look at the offense.
Yeah.
This is the part that shocks me. Over the last 5 games, they're averaging 130.2 points per game.
130 points a game.
Yes. They are scoring at will. When you have a defense that creates turnovers and misses, you get out in transition. And a 7'4" alien running the floor in transition is just, it's unstoppable.
They are playing with a joy and a pace that is overwhelming teams.
Totally.
Okay, I'm with you on the talent. I'm with you on the hype. But are they a contender right now, today? Because I look at that roster and I see youth. I see inexperience. We always say in the NBA, you have to lose before you win. You have to get your heart broken in the playoffs. The Spurs haven't had that yet.
I think that's an archaic way of looking at it. I really do.
Is it, though? Imagine Game 6 in Denver, or Game 1 in OKC. The crowd is deafening, the whistle disappears, the game slows down to a halt. Can the Spurs execute a half-court offense against a set defense? Or will they panic?
I think they can.
Will the youth show up? I think they're a year away. I think they're the scary team that loses in the second round, learns a lesson, and then terrorizes the league for a decade.
See, I disagree. I think talent trumps experience.
Yeah.
If you are a top 5 net rating team, which they are at plus 6.0, and you have the best defensive player on the planet,
You're a contender.
you are a contender immediately who matches up with Wembanyama.
Yeah.
Denver. Maybe Jokic can bully him a little bit. Jokic can't guard him on the perimeter. OKC. Chet is great, but Wemby is just different. I think the Spurs are a top 3 team in the NBA right now.
Top cell.
The data says they are a contender.
The data says. The data doesn't measure playoff pressure. The data doesn't measure what happens when a 21-year-old point guard gets trapped at half court.
But the data does measure that they are beating teams by 6 points per 100 possessions. That is a massive buffer. They can make mistakes and still win.
We'll see. I'm planting my flags. San Antonio is a pretender for the title this year, but a lock for the future. You're saying they can win it all in June?
I am saying they are on the short list. If OKC stumbles, San Antonio is the team catching them.
That is a bold take, but that is why we do this. Let's move to our third segment. We've covered the heavyweights. Now I want to get weird.
Okay.
I want to look at the murky middle of the standings. I want you to give me a dark horse, a team nobody is talking about that could make a run, and a fake hype team, a team the media loves but the math just hates.
I have the perfect candidates.
Okay, start with the dark horse. Who is it?
You're going to look at me like I'm crazy, but the numbers are screaming at me. The Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets, the team that is 26-29. You're kidding me.
Hear me out. Yes, the overall record is 26-29. That looks mediocre. But we are looking for trends. We're looking for mid-season shifts.
Okay.
The Charlotte Hornets are 9-1 in their last 10 games.
Wow.
That is the best form in the NBA, tied with the Cavs.
9-1 is a serious run. Who have they played?
They've played a mix. But you don't go 9-1 by accident in this league. And here's the kicker. I saw a discussion on the analytics boards pointing out that since the start of the new year, the Hornets have the highest net rating in the league.
Wait, what? Higher than OKC? Higher than Detroit?
Since January 1st, yes. They have completely flipped the script. Their defense over the last 2 weeks is a one-turn 12.7 rating. It's not elite like OKC, but it's respectable.
Right.
But their offense has gone nuclear. Their overall net rating for the season is now plus 1.9.
Plus 1.9 is positive. That's usually the marker of a winning team.
Exactly. A team with a losing record, like 26-29, but a positive net rating, plus 1.9, is a prime candidate for a correction. It means they were losing close games early in the year, or they had injuries, and now the variance is swinging back.
So you're saying they are the team nobody wants to play in the first round?
I am saying they are climbing out of the play-in tournament. If this 9-1 run is real, and the net rating says it is, they are going to surge up the standings. They are a dangerous, dangerous team.
I'll give you dangerous, but 10 games is still a pretty small sample size compared to 40 games of mediocrity. I think I need to see 2 more weeks of this before I buy the jersey.
That's fair.
But let's go to the other side. The Faye hype, the pretender. And I have a sinking feeling I know who you're going to pick.
We have to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers.
The elephant in the room. Or maybe the 2 elephants. We are watching one of the weirdest experiments in NBA history. Luka Doncic, LeBron James, on the same team.
And the media cannot get enough of it.
Yeah.
LeBron is doing interviews about the Lakers present. The narrative is that they are a super team. They're 33-21.
That's 12 games over .500.
They're the 5th seed in the West.
12 games over .500 is good. That's a playoff lock.
But look at the math. This is the single biggest statistical anomaly I have ever seen. They are 33-21, but their net rating is negative .1.
Negative. You're saying they have a negative point differential.
Negative. They are allowing more points than they score per 100 possessions. Statistically, they're a losing team. A team with a negative .1 net rating would be roughly 27-27.
So they're 6 games better than they should be.
6 games better.
How do you even explain that gap? Is it just pure luck?
It's extreme luck, or, if you want to be generous, clutch variance. They are number 1 in the NBA in win percentage in close games at .889. They are winning almost 90% of their games decided by 5 points or less.
But wait. Can you really call that luck when you have Luka Doncic and LeBron James on the floor?
I can.
We aren't talking about a random team winning close games. We're talking about two of the highest IQ players in history. Luka is leading the league in scoring at 32.8 points per game.
I know.
We saw the Reddit threads fans are noting that with Bron off, the Luka and Austin Reeves duo is like a plus 20 net rating.
And that is the problem. The roster is disconnected. When Luka and Reeves run the show, the offense hums. But when you put everyone together and you ask an aging LeBron and Marcus Smart to anchor the defense, it falls apart. The source material notes that they are relying on LeBron and Smart to anchor defense at their age seems wild. And it is wild. You can't hide Luka Doncic on defense, and you can't ask a 41-year-old LeBron to clean up his mistakes for 82 games.
But in the playoffs, the rotation shrinks. You play your best five. If the game is tight with 2 minutes left, who are you betting against, Luka and LeBron? Or the spreadsheet?
I am betting against a team that can't get stops. That .889 winning percentage in close games is unsustainable. It's a mathematical impossibility to keep that up.
Because you think it's going to crash.
It's called Pythagorean expectation. Your point differential is a better predictor of your future record than your current record is. The Lakers are a .500 team wearing a Gucci belt.
Wow.
They look expensive, they have the star power, but underneath, the foundation is cheap.
A .500 team wearing a Gucci belt. That is harsh.
It's reality. You cannot sustain a negative net rating and expect to win a title. History says you are a first-round exit.
I'm going to push back. I think the Luka factor breaks the model. We haven't seen a player this dominant in the clutch in a long, long time. If he's averaging 32.8 and he controls the pace, maybe they don't need a good net rating. Maybe they just need to keep it close.
Keep it close is a dangerous strategy against OKC or San Antonio. Those teams blow you out. If you're down 15 in the third quarter, Luka's clutch gene doesn't matter.
That is the debate right there. Math versus magic. The Lakers are living on magic right now. We will see if the clock strikes midnight.
The clock always strikes midnight on negative net rating teams. Always.
Before we wrap up, I want to touch on the trade deadline fallout briefly. It was pretty quiet, wasn't it?
Very quiet, yeah. The Sixers made some moves on the margins, signing Cameron Payne, grabbing Jabari Walker.
Yeah.
But the big contenders, they all stood pat.
Which tells me they believe in what they have. But as we close out, I want to look at the other end of the standings. We talked about the contenders, but look at the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, the Kings. It's brutal.
1244. That is a winning percentage of .214. They are actively not trying to win basketball games.
It is shameful. One analyst I read called them a true factory of sadness.
Yeah.
And honestly, with teams like OKC and San Antonio being this good, the gap between the haves and the have-nots is wider than ever.
And Adam Silver is talking about tanking reform again.
He has to.
Yeah.
If you have teams losing 60 games on purpose to chase the next Wembanyama, you ruin the product.
It's a real problem.
If the Spurs and Thunder are this dominant, how long until the league forces the bottom feeders to actually field a competitive roster?
That is a question for the offseason. For now, we watch the standings.
Watch the net rating, ignore the standings.
We will see who's right come June.
Yeah.
Keep watching the numbers, folks, but never ignore the game. That's all the time we have. We'll see you next time.